The room goes quiet before anyone understands why. A laugh cuts off mid-breath. A fork freezes inches from her mouth. Somewhere, a plastic tray hits the floor, and the sound echoes too loud, too sharp, like a gunshot in a church. Humiliation hangs thick in the air, heavy enough to choke on. And a small black boy tightens his grip around his mother's leg, as if the world might pull her away at any second. The millionaire doesn't announce himself. He never does when he wants the truth. No cameras. No assistants whispering in his ear. Just a black sedan, easing to a stop under the harsh noon sun. The engine ticking as it cools, the kind of quiet that only money can afford. He straightens his jacket, glances once at the building with his company name etched in glass, and walks inside expecting what he always expects. Order, respect, control. Lunchtime should be smooth, efficient, invisible. Instead, the cafeteria feels like it's holding its breath. He pushes the doors open and steps into a moment already breaking. Conversations die instantly. Chairs stop moving. People stare down at their plates like the food suddenly matters more than anything else. In the world, a security guard near the wall stiffens, his hand hovering at his belt, unsure who he's supposed to protect. The smell of fried food and cheap coffee mixes with something sharper. Fear. At the center of the room, right where executives usually sit, stands a black woman in a worn cafeteria apron. The fabric is stained. Her hair is pulled back tight, like she didn't have time to fix it properly. Her hands shake as she kneels, picking up broken plates, scooping spilled food back onto trays that will never be clean again. And pressed against her leg is a little boy. Her son. His face is too serious. For his age, his eyes are wide, trying to understand why everyone is watching and no one is helping. The millionaire slows his steps. This isn't right. This isn't how things are supposed to look. A voice cuts through the silence like a blade. Loud, sharp, practiced. The kind of voice that has learned it can hurt people without consequences. I told you people, the manager snaps, standing over the woman, chest puffed out, authority dripping from every word. No family back here. How hard is that to understand? The words land and spread. You people. The kind of phrase that carries history in its teeth. The kind of phrase that doesn't need to be explained. Heads turn away all at once. Executives stare at their phones. Employees suddenly find the floor fascinating. No one speaks. No one steps in. Power has already made its choice. And it's not standing with the woman on her knees. The millionaire watchers, confusion tightening into annoyance. Then something darker. This isn't in the handbook. This isn't the culture he talks about on stage, smiling into cameras, bragging about diversity and opportunity and family values. This is raw, ugly, real. The woman keeps apologizing. Her voice low, steady, trained. I'm sorry, sir. It won't happen again. She stops herself. She always stops herself. Explaining only makes things worse. The manager keeps going. He always does. He points at the mess like she spilled it on purpose. Like humiliation is part of the job description. Clean it up, he says. Louder now, because volume feels like power. And then you're done for the day? Don't think you're getting paid for this. The woman nods and bends lower, gathering broken pieces with bare hands. A sharp edge slices her finger. She doesn't react. Blood beads up, red against brown skin, and she wipes it on her apron like it doesn't matter. Like she doesn't matter. Her son leans close and whispers something only she can hear. Maybe he asks why they're yelling. Maybe he asks if they're in trouble. Maybe he asks if they're going home. She shakes her head without looking at him. Don't speak. Not now. Not here. She knows the rules, even if no one ever wrote them down. The millionaire stands there, unnoticed or maybe deliberately ignored, feeling something crawl up his spine. He's used to being seen, recognized, feared, even. But in this moment, his presence doesn't matter. What matters is that a system he built is eating someone alive in front of him. And nobody thinks that's strange. He notices details he's never seen before. The cracked tiles. The outdated machines, humming too loud in the corner. The way the staff move like ghosts, fast and quiet, trying not to draw attention. He notices the fear in the woman's shoulders, the way they hunch forward as if she's learned to make herself smaller, to survive. This isn't one bad manager. This feels practiced, normal. The silent stretchers, thick and suffocating. You could hear a pin drop. You could hear a child breathing. You could hear dignity being swallowed, whole. The manager takes a step closer to the woman, looming now, enjoying the audience even if no one is looking at him. Did you hear me? He snaps. I said no family. This isn't a daycare. You should be grateful you even have this job. Grateful. The word lands hard. The boy flinches. The woman finally looks up, just for a second, and her eyes are tired. Not angry, not begging. just tired, in a way that comes from years of being told you're lucky to be mistreated. That's when her eyes meet his, the millionaire's. She doesn't recognize him. Tura, he's just another man in a suit. Another person with power she doesn't have. Another face that could make things worse. She looks away quickly, instinctively, because eye contact feels dangerous. But the millionaire doesn't look away. In that moment, something shifts inside him. He feels unsettled in a way money has never made him feel before. His wealth built these walls. His name is on the building. His success feeds every paycheck in this room. And yet, standing here, watching this, he realizes a chilling truth. He built profit. He built power. But he didn't build justice. The manager raises his voice again. Louder now, emboldened by the silence, by the lack of consequences. I don't want to see you or that kid in here again, he says, pointing like they're stains instead of people. Do you understand me? The woman nods, her mouth tight. She doesn't trust her voice anymore. The millionaire takes one step forward. It's a small step, barely noticeable. But it's enough to make the air change. Enough to make the security guard glance over. Enough to make a few heads lift, curious now, uneasy. Something is about to happen. You can feel it in the pause. In the way the manager's words hang unfinished. The millionaire's shoes echo softly against the cafeteria floor as he moves closer. Eyes locked on the scene in front of him. He hasn't spoken yet. He doesn't need to. His silence carries weight, and as he closes the distance, the cracks begin to show. The manager doesn't stop. He never stops once he gets started. His voice grows louder, sharper, filling the cafeteria like smoke that burns your eyes and lungs at the same time. He talks about rules as if they were sacred, carved in stone, handed down only to protect order. He talks about knowing your place, says it casually, like advice, like he's doing her a favor. He says desperation isn't an excuse, that personal problems don't belong at work. And then, the word slips out, smooth and practiced, like it's lived on his tongue for years. Replaceable, he says it twice. Just to make sure it lands, Mrs. Carter keeps her eyes on the floor. She has learned that looking up can be taken as defiance. She nods and apologizes again. She always apologizes first, even when she's done nothing wrong. Her voice stays calm, almost gentle, as she explains, childcare costs more than she makes in a week. Her paycheck was late. Again, she tried calling everyone she knew. No one could take her son. She had no choice. The words sound reasonable, human, honest. But in this room, none of that matters. Her hands tell the real story. They shake as she wipes spilled food into a cracked tray. Years of swallowing pride have trained her body to react before her mind catches up. She's learned how to make herself small, how to take up as little space as possible, how to survive moments like this without breaking apart in public. The manager scoffs. He waves his hand like he's brushing away trash. That's not my problem, he says. This isn't a charity. If you can't follow the rules, you don't belong here. His eyes flick to the boy for half a second, full of irritation, like the child is an inconvenience instead of a human being. A burst of laughter comes from one of the tables near the windows. Loud, careless. A group of executives in tailored suits lean back in their chairs, shaking their heads like they're watching a scene from a bad show. One of them smirks and takes a sip of his drink. Another mutters something under his breath, and they laugh again. They'll forget this moment by dessert. It won't follow them home. It won't shape how their children see the world. The boy looks up at the sound of laughter. His eyebrows pull together in confusion. He doesn't understand why they're laughing. He doesn't understand what his mother did wrong. He only knows something hurts, deep in his chest, and he doesn't have the words for it yet. This is how lessons start? Quite cruel. Too early. The millionaire watches all of this from a few steps back. Still unseen, still silent. His jaw tightens. This isn't discipline. This isn't management. This is cruelty dressed up as policy. He can feel it now, clear as day. The longer it goes on, the worse it gets. That's how these moments work. They feed on silence. The manager takes another step closer to Mrs. Carter, lowering his voice just enough to sound threatening instead of loud. I don't care about your excuses, he says. There are 100 people who would kill for this job. Don't forget that. Replaceable again? A reminder? A warning? Security finally moves. Not fast, not angry, just doing what they've been trained to do. Enforce. A guard steps toward Mrs. Carter and her son, his face blank, eyes fixed, somewhere past them. He doesn't make eye contact. That makes it easier. Mrs. Carter straightens a little when she sees him. Panic flashes across her face, quick and sharp, before she pushes it down. She raises her hand slightly, a small gesture, asking for patience. Please, she says, her voice barely above a whisper now. Just 10 minutes. Let me finish my shift. I need the hours. I'll leave after, I promise. 10 minutes. That's all she asks for. Not mercy, not sympathy, just time. The manager doesn't hesitate. He enjoys this part. Public humiliation is the point. Power has to be seen to work. No, he says, loud enough for everyone to hear. You're done. Now. And don't come back unless you learn how to follow simple rules. The word now hangs in the air like a command to a razor. The boy tightens his grip on his mother's leg. He senses the shift. He senses loss before it happens. The guard reaches out, gentle but firm, aiming to guide them away. His hand moves toward the boy's shoulder. That's when the millionaire's stomach twists. He notices things he's never noticed before. The machines along the wall are old, dented, barely holding together. The staff looks thin, stretched, running on fumes. There aren't enough people for this place to work the way it should. Corners have been cut, costs saved, profits protected, and the cost has been paid in moments like this, in fear and silence and shame. This isn't one bad decision. This is a system that allows this to happen without anyone blinking. Mrs. Carter looks at the guard's hand, and then, slowly, she looks up. Not at the manager. Not at the executives. Her eyes lift past them, scanning the room as if she's searching for something she's lost. And her gaze locks with the millionaire's. For a second, Tom stretches. The noise fades. The cafeteria feels very far away. She doesn't recognize him. She doesn't know his name or his face. To her, he's just another man in a suit, standing still, watching. Another person with the power to look away. She almost drops her eyes again, out of habit. Out of fear? But something stops her. The millionaire doesn't look away. There's no anger on his face yet. No judgment. Just a steady, heavy focus. Like he's finally seeing something clearly for the first time. In her eyes, he sees strength that hasn't been loud. Resistance that hasn't been violent. Dignity that has survived being tested over and over again. He sees a woman who is bent but not broken. A woman who has learned how to endure. Mrs. Carter straightens her shoulders. Just a little. Not enough to challenge. Enough to remind herself who she is. Her son feels it and looks up at her. Confused but comforted by the change he can't explain. The guard hesitates, his hand hovering in the air. The laughter from the executives has stopped. A few heads turn. Whispers ripple through the room. Someone important must be here. You can feel it. The manager senses it too. He glances around, annoyed. Ready to snap at whoever is distracting from his authority. The millionaire takes a slow breath. He's still silent. He's still watching. And in that silence, the power in the room begins to shift. Just enough to make everyone uneasy. Just enough to promise that this moment isn't over yet. Stop. The word is quiet, almost gentle, but it lands with weight. Heavy. Final dot. Everything freezes. Chairs stop scraping. A tray slips from someone's hands and clatters to the floor, but no one reacts. Heads turn all at once, drawn by something they don't yet understand. The manager scoffs out of habit, already annoyed. Already ready to snap back and remind whoever spoke who's in charge? Then he sees the man. The color drains from his face. So fast it's almost painful to watch. His mouth opens, then closes again. Conversations die mid-breath. Even the air feels different, thinner. Like the room itself is paying attention now. The millionaire steps forward, fully into the light. No rush, no anger, just presence. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. When he speaks, it's calm, controlled, every word chosen. Is this how you treat the people who keep this company running? He asks. The question hangs there, simple and deadly. The manager blinks, thrown off balance. He laughs weakly, trying to recover. Oot, sir, I can explain, he says quickly, straightening his jacket like that might save him. We have policies, rules. I was just enforcing them. She broke protocol. He gestures toward Mrs. Carter like she's evidence instead of a person. The millionaire doesn't look at her. His eyes stay locked on the manager. Waiting? The manager keeps talking. He always does when he's nervous. He blames policy. He blames rules. He blames the handbook. He blames her situation, her choices, her failure to plan. Anything but himself. His words tumble over each other. Now, desperate. Sharp around the edges. Mrs. Carter opens her mouth to apologize. Reflex. Years of survival kick in. She takes a breath, ready to take the blame like she always has. The millionaire raises a hand. Not at her. For her, she stops mid-sentence, confused. No one has ever stopped her from apologizing before. Don't, the millionaire says softly. Without looking back, the word is gentle. Protective. The cafeteria is silent now. Even the machines seem quieter. The manager swallows hard. Sweat beads at his hairline. Sir, if there's been a misunderstanding, there hasn't. The millionaire says. He finally turns and looks at Mrs. Carter. Really looks at her, her tired eyes, the cut on her finger, the way she stands slightly in front of her son, without even thinking about it. Hey, Sheil. This wasn't a random visit, he says, his voice carrying across the room. Today was a surprise audit. The word audit ripples through the cafeteria like a shockwave. The manager's face tightens. An audit. He repeats, forcing a smile. I wasn't informed. You weren't supposed to be, the millionaire replies. He pauses. Lets that sink in. Not a financial audit, he continues, a moral one. A few people shift uncomfortably. Eyes dart around. Someone coughs. No one speaks. I've heard whispers, the millionaire says. High turnover. Complaints that disappear. Good workers leaving without explanation. Silence, where there shouldn't be silence. So I came unannounced. I wanted to see for myself. He gestures slowly around the room. And this, he says, his voice tightening for the first time, is what I saw. The manager opens his mouth again, but no sound comes out. The millionaire steps past him and kneels. Down in front of the boy, the movement is so unexpected that a few people gasp quietly. The richest man in the room lowers himself to the floor, meeting the child at eye level. Power shifts without a word. What's your name? The millionaire asks. Dut. Boy hesitates, looking up at his mother. Mrs. Carter's heart races. She doesn't know what's happening. She doesn't know if this is safe. It's okay, the millionaire says, smiling gently. I just want to hear you. It's Marcus, the boy says softly. Markeski, the millionaire repeats. That's a strong name. Marcus nods, unsure, but curious. The millionaire listens as Marcus answers a few simple questions. How old he is, what he likes. School. He listens, the way powerful people rarely do. Fully, without rushing, without checking his watch. The cafeteria holds its breath. Then the millionaire stands. He turns back to the manager, and the warmth is gone. There's something else you should remember, he says, about Mrs. Carter. The manager frowns, confused. Sir. Years ago, the millionaire continues, there was a safety flaw in one of our facilities. A small detail most people missed. It could have cost lives. It could have shut us down. A murmur spreads through the room. One report caught it. The millionaire says, written, late, detailed, clear, submitted by a cafeteria worker who noticed something no executive noticed. Mrs. Carter's eyes widen. Her breath catches. That worker was you, the millionaire says. Turning to her, the room goes still. You saved this company millions, he continues. And more importantly, you prevented people from getting hurt. The manager's face pales. That report should have been celebrated, the millionaire says. Instead, it was buried. The credit disappeared. And someone else took the bonus. For fixing the issue, his eyes lock onto the manager. Hey you, he says. The manager stumbles back a step. That's not I mean. I followed procedure. You stole recognition, the millionaire says flatly. And you built your authority on the backs of people you treat as disposable. Mrs. Carter feels dizzy. She remembers that day. Staying late, writing the report carefully, never hearing back. Being told it was handled. Being told to get back to work. The millionaire doesn't hesitate. You're fired, he says. 2 words right there. In front of everyone. The manager laughs. Once, sharp and broken. You can't do that here, he says, voice cracking. Not like this. I can, the millionaire replies, and I just did. Security steps forward, this time with purpose. The manager protests, his voice rising, his authority collapsing in real time. No one laughs now. No one looks away. Power has shifted, loudly, publicly. Mrs. Carter stands frozen, her son clutching her hand. She doesn't know what to feel. Relief, shock, fear, all of it collides in her chest. The millionaire turns back to her. You shouldn't have had to endure this, he says. And you won't again. She nods, slowly, tears burning her eyes, but refusing to fall. The cafeteria remains silent as the manager is escorted out, his footsteps echoing until the doors close behind him. The millionaire looks around the room one last time. Let this be clear, he says. Dignity is not optional here. No one speaks. And in that heavy silence, everyone understands. Something has changed. But what comes next is still unfolding. The cafeteria doesn't erupt. There's no cheering, no clapping, no sudden celebration. Instead, the room exhales, long and slow, like it has been holding its breath for years and only now feels safe enough to release it. The silence that follows isn't heavy anymore. It's clean, honest. People shift in their seats, unsure what to do with the space that has been created. Something has ended. Something else has begun. Mrs. Carter stands still, her hand wrapped around her son's. Her body tense, like she's waiting for the moment to snap back into a nightmare. She's learned not to trust sudden kindness. It often disappears as fast as it arrives. Her heart pounds as the millionaire turns toward her again. His expression no longer sharp, no longer burning with anger, but steady, intentional. This doesn't end with him leaving, he says, his voice carrying without effort. It ends with what's right. He tells her about the promotion, not a favor, not a gesture to look good in front of others. A real position, one that reflects what she has already been doing for years without credit. He tells her about the back pay, the benefits she should have had all along, the respect she earned long before this moment ever happened. Mrs. Carter listens, almost afraid to blink. The words feel unreal, like they belong to someone else's life. She looks down at her son, and for the first time since walking into this building, she sees wonder on his face instead of fear. His eyes are wide, his mouth slightly open. He's watching the world correct itself in real time, learning a lesson, far different from the one that started this afternoon. For once, justice isn't late. The millionaire turns to the room. Every face is on him now. No phones, no whispers, just attention. His voice doesn't rise. It doesn't need to. This shouldn't have taken my presence to happen, he says, and that failure is on me. A murmur ripples through the cafeteria, but he continues, I built this company, he says. I protected profit, growth, expansion, but somewhere along the way, I stopped guarding something more important. He pauses, swallowing hard. Humanity. He looks around at the workers, the cooks, the cleaners, the security guards, the people who make the building breathe every single day. I believed systems would take care of people, he says. But systems don't have hearts. People do. And when we stop paying attention, cruelty fills the space we leave behind. His eyes meet Mrs. Carter's again. There's no pity there, only respect. What happened today exposed a cost I've ignored for too long, he says, and that cost was paid by the wrong people. Policies are mentioned. Changes announced. New oversight. Training. Accountability. Words that sound official, necessary. But everyone in the room understands that something deeper is shifting. Culture isn't written on paper. It's lived. And today, it was challenged in public. Mrs. Carter doesn't cry. The tears come close. They press against the edges of her eyes, burning, heavy. But she doesn't let them fall. She's cried enough in private. In bathrooms, in her car, at night when her son couldn't see. This moment isn't about release. It's about restoration. She smiles softly. It's not a big smile, not dramatic, just calm. Grounded. A smile that says she knows who she is, even now. Dignity doesn't need tears to prove it's real. Her son squeezes her hand and leans into her side. She feels his weight, his warmth, and something loosens in her chest. He saw it. He saw her stand. He saw someone listen. That matters more than any promotion. Lunchtime slowly resumes. Not the way it was before. People move differently now. Conversations restart, but they're quieter, thoughtful. Employees look at one another instead of through one another. An executive meets a cafeteria worker's eyes and nods, unsure why it feels important, but knowing it does. The room feels awake in a way it never did before. Power has been reminded of its responsibility. The millionaire doesn't stay. He doesn't wait for praise. He doesn't make announcements or call for photos. He watches Mrs. Carter one last time, making sure she's steady, making sure she knows this isn't temporary. Then he turns and walks out, the same way he came in. Quiet, unannounced, no. One follows him. His lesson stays behind. Mrs. Carter gathers her things. Someone offers to help clean up the mess that started it all. She thanks him. Someone else apologizes, awkward and sincere. She nods. Forgiveness doesn't always need words either. As she and her son walk toward the exit, the building feels different. The walls are the same, the floors are the same, but the weight is gone. Or at least lighter. She knows tomorrow won't be perfect. She knows systems don't heal overnight. But something real has shifted, and she was part of it. Outside, the sun is still high. The day didn't stop for her pain. It never does. But for the first time in a long while, she feels seen within it. Her son looks up at her. Mom, he says quietly, you were brave? She smiles again. Bigger this time. So were you? She replies. And somewhere behind them, inside those walls of glass and power, a truth settles into concrete and conscience alike. Wealth without empathy is poverty of the soul. And sometimes, it takes just one unannounced moment, one act of courage from someone the world tried to overlook, to reveal who we truly are.